In the teachings of Buddha, metaphors often hold profound wisdom. One such timeless lesson warns against the dangers of 5 metaphorical trees that, if left unchecked, can drain your wealth, both material and spiritual. These trees represent habits, attachments, and mindsets that can lead to financial instability and hinder personal growth. Understanding and addressing these elements can pave the way to a more prosperous and balanced life. In this guide, we explore these 5 trees, their impact on your life, and how to chop them down before they sap your wealth and well-being. Dead or dying trees symbolize stagnation and the absence of vitality. In various traditions, including Buddhist philosophy, the presence of such trees can represent a failure to let go of the past, an attachment to things that have already served their purpose. This clinging to what is no longer fruitful can drain energy and create a sense of heaviness in one's environment. Their decayed state may serve as a constant reminder of impermanence. But without mindfulness, this can lead to feelings of despair or neglect. When these trees are left untouched, they contribute to the stagnation of energy around them. In spiritual practices, maintaining an environment that reflects harmony and renewal is essential for sustaining wellness. Dead or decaying trees can block this natural flow, acting as obstacles to the positive transformation that life continually offers. Removing them can symbolize a conscious choice to embrace growth and move forward. Furthermore, decaying wood attracts pests and diseases that might spread to other healthy plants in the vicinity. This mirrors the way unaddressed negativity or unresolved emotions can affect other areas of our lives. If left unchecked, this decay can spread and disrupt the balance of the environment, just as unwholesome thoughts or behaviors can hinder personal development. From a practical perspective, these trees pose safety risks as their weakened branches can fall, causing physical harm or damage. Similarly, clinging to things that no longer serve us can be detrimental to our well-being, creating unnecessary risks in our emotional or spiritual lives. Removing these trees is not just about physical upkeep, but also about creating a safe and nurturing space for growth. The act of cutting down dead or dying trees can be seen as a ritual of letting go. It allows for the release of past attachments, clearing space for something new and vibrant to take root. This process aligns with Buddhist teachings on impermanence and the importance of embracing change. By acknowledging the need for renewal, we actively participate in the cycle of life and transformation. When dead trees are removed, the landscape begins to breathe again. Light finds its way through previously blocked spaces, and new life can emerge where the decay once stood. This change symbolizes the potential for rebirth and renewal in our lives when we address what no longer serves us. It reminds us that endings are not inherently negative, but are opportunities for fresh beginnings. In many cultures, trees are deeply symbolic, representing life, growth, and interconnectedness. A dead tree disrupts this symbolism, standing as a stark reminder of neglect or stagnation. By addressing this disruption, we realign with the natural rhythms of life, restoring harmony to our surroundings and ourselves. This act reinforces the importance of nurturing and maintaining both our physical and spiritual environments. Decaying trees can also create an emotional weight in the space they occupy. They may evoke feelings of loss or sadness, subtly influencing the energy of those who live nearby. Removing them can be a liberating act, freeing the space and the individuals within it from this emotional burden. It reflects the Buddhist practice of clearing the mind to cultivate clarity and peace. In Buddhist philosophy and related traditions, the idea of removing negative influences to preserve wellness is metaphorical rather than literal. However, some traditions associate the presence of certain types of trees with draining energy or creating disharmony. Here's an interpretation of 5 kinds of real trees that are believed to potentially affect wellness, along with the reasons they might need to be cut or avoided. When a tree is dead, its purpose within the ecosystem changes. Instead of providing shade, oxygen, or shelter, it becomes a source of decay and potential harm. In the same way, clinging to outdated ideas or relationships can hinder our ability to contribute positively to the world around us. Recognizing when to let go is a skill that supports both personal growth and collective well-being. Removing a dead tree requires effort and mindfulness, much like addressing issues within ourselves. It involves acknowledging the problem, taking decisive action, and being patient with the process. This mirrors the Buddhist approach to overcoming suffering, recognizing its cause, letting go of attachment, and cultivating practices that lead to liberation. Once a dead tree is removed, the surrounding environment often begins to flourish. The soil, now exposed to sunlight and air, can support new growth. This transformation is a reminder that endings pave the way for beginnings. By making space for renewal, we invite fresh energy and opportunities into our lives, reinforcing the cyclical nature of existence. The presence of dead trees may also block our ability to fully appreciate the beauty of the natural world. Their removal restores balance and allows the surrounding landscape to thrive. This act can serve as a metaphor for clearing mental clutter, enabling us to focus on the present moment and the beauty that surrounds us. Cutting down a dead tree is not an act of destruction but of transformation. It is a conscious decision to remove what no longer serves a purpose, creating space for growth and renewal. This aligns with Buddhist teachings on the impermanence of all things and the value of living in harmony with nature's cycles. The act of addressing the presence of dead or dying trees is a practice in mindfulness. It requires awareness of the state of one's environment and the willingness to take action for the greater good. This mindfulness can extend beyond physical spaces into our inner worlds, where we can identify and release negative patterns or thoughts. Ultimately, the process of removing dead trees reflects the interconnectedness of life. Just as the removal of decay allows new life to flourish, letting go of attachments, habits, or influences that no longer serve us creates the conditions for spiritual and emotional growth. It is a practice of renewal, a commitment to fostering well-being, and a recognition of the beauty in impermanence. Trees with sharp thorns are often regarded as disruptive elements in a harmonious environment. Their physical characteristics, such as pointed edges and spiky surfaces, symbolize barriers and challenges in many cultural and spiritual contexts. In Buddhism and related traditions, such trees can serve as metaphors for harmful thoughts or obstacles on the path to enlightenment. They remind us that life's challenges can puncture the flow of our energy, if not approached with mindfulness. When placed near a home or in a living space, they can be seen as visual representations of conflict or tension. This perspective encourages individuals to address and resolve issues that might otherwise fester and grow. The presence of thorny trees can also create a sense of unease or discomfort in a physical sense. Their sharp features may deter people from walking freely in certain areas, limiting movement and creating an unconscious sense of restriction. Spiritually, this restriction might echo the way negative thoughts or unresolved emotions confine our ability to grow and thrive. The very nature of thorns serves as a reminder to be cautious of what we let into our mental and physical spaces, as unchecked negativity can create lasting wounds. These trees, though natural, hold a significant symbolic weight that calls for mindfulness. Removing or relocating such trees isn't merely an act of physical labor, it's a practice of cultivating clarity and peace. By clearing away physical obstacles, we mirror the inner work of removing psychological and emotional barriers. It is not about destroying nature, but about understanding and harmonizing with it. Thorny trees, when managed wisely, can be transformed into lessons about mindfulness and the careful nurturing of positive surroundings. This balance allows us to coexist with nature while maintaining an environment that supports our well-being. The sharpness of thorns can also be likened to the sharpness of words or actions that hurt others. In Buddhist teachings, speech and actions are considered to have profound consequences on one's karma and spiritual progress. Just as thorns can pierce the skin, unkind words or impulsive actions can wound relationships and leave lasting scars. Recognizing this parallel encourages an awareness of our impact on others and a commitment to practicing compassion and kindness in our interactions. In addition, the aesthetic aspect of thorny trees might not align with the serene and balanced energy desired in a home environment. Their rugged appearance and uninviting nature can contribute to a sense of discord. In spiritual practices, maintaining a harmonious environment is often seen as essential for meditation and reflection. The removal of thorny trees is not an act of rejecting their existence, but of prioritizing an atmosphere conducive to tranquility and growth. The idea of cutting or managing thorny trees also emphasizes the importance of balance. Nature is filled with contrasts, and the existence of thorns is part of this diversity. However, in spaces designed for peace and rejuvenation, minimizing potentially disruptive elements becomes a meaningful choice. This decision reflects an understanding of how external surroundings influence internal states. A home is more than a shelter. It is a reflection of the mind, and tending to it with care fosters an environment of balance and harmony. Furthermore, thorny trees can symbolize the difficulties encountered on the spiritual path. In Buddhism, the journey toward enlightenment is often described as challenging and filled with obstacles. Thorns, therefore, can represent these challenges, urging practitioners to proceed with perseverance and resilience. Their presence can be a reminder that growth often comes with discomfort and effort. By addressing these challenges mindfully, we cultivate the strength to overcome them. The act of removing or managing thorny trees can also be seen as an exercise in mindfulness. It requires observation, planning, and execution, all of which are key components of living mindfully. This process mirrors the inner work of identifying and addressing negative patterns in our thoughts and behaviors. Just as removing a tree requires effort and care, so does the cultivation of a peaceful and harmonious mind. In Buddhist philosophy, nature is often viewed as a teacher, offering lessons about impermanence, interconnectedness, and balance. Thorny trees are no exception. They teach us to be mindful of the challenges we encounter and to approach them with care and wisdom. Their sharp edges remind us to tread carefully and to respect the boundaries of others. By acknowledging their presence and impact, we engage in a deeper understanding of the natural world and our place within it. The relationship between humans and nature is deeply intertwined. In maintaining harmony within our surroundings, we also nurture our inner peace. Thorny trees, while natural, can disrupt this balance if not managed with intention. Their removal or relocation, therefore, becomes a symbolic act of restoring harmony, both externally and internally. This practice aligns with the Buddhist emphasis on mindfulness and intentional living. In some traditions, the energy of thorny trees is believed to affect the flow of qi, or life force energy. This belief underscores the importance of creating spaces that allow for the free movement of positive energy. While this concept might not be explicitly Buddhist, it resonates with the broader principle of cultivating environments that support well-being. Removing thorny trees in this context becomes a way of enhancing the flow of positive energy in and around the home. Moreover, thorny trees near living spaces can have practical implications. Their presence might pose safety risks, especially for children or pets, and their sharp features can cause physical harm. This consideration highlights the interplay between spiritual practices and everyday life. By addressing such practical concerns, we create an environment that is not only spiritually uplifting, but also safe and welcoming. The removal of thorny trees also invites reflection on the concept of letting go. In Buddhism, letting go of attachments and aversions is a core teaching. The decision to remove a thorny tree might involve letting go of sentimental attachments to it or overcoming resistance to change. This process becomes an opportunity to practice detachment and embrace the impermanence of all things. In the end, thorny trees, like all elements of nature, have their place and purpose. Their removal is not about rejecting nature, but about creating an environment that aligns with our spiritual and practical needs. This process reflects the Buddhist teaching of right effort, which involves making choices that lead to the cessation of suffering and the cultivation of happiness. By mindfully tending to our surroundings, we take a step toward greater harmony and well-being. Finally, the decision to remove thorny trees is a personal one, guided by the unique needs and values of each individual or household. It is not a one-size-fits-all solution, but a practice of discernment and intentional living. This approach aligns with the Buddhist principle of skillful means, which emphasizes adapting teachings and practices to suit the circumstances. In this way, managing thorny trees becomes a meaningful act of mindfulness and care. Large trees that block sunlight near a house can have a significant impact on the environment and the well-being of those living nearby. These trees, while majestic and beneficial in some contexts, can create a sense of darkness and dampness when their canopies are overly dense and positioned in a way that shades key areas of a home. In Buddhist philosophy and related traditions, light is often symbolic of clarity, wisdom, and enlightenment, making the presence of shadows or darkness potentially disruptive to a harmonious living space. When sunlight is obstructed, the physical environment can become cooler and more humid, which might contribute to an uncomfortable atmosphere. This dampness can also promote the growth of mold, mildew, and insects, leading to potential health concerns. While trees provide oxygen and beauty, their unchecked growth can tip the balance, creating an environment that feels heavy or stagnant. This imbalance is often seen not just as a physical concern, but also as a reflection of an inner state of mind. From a spiritual perspective, the absence of light can symbolize ignorance or the lack of clarity in one's life. In many traditions, light is a guiding force, illuminating the path toward understanding and inner peace. When large trees block sunlight, they may inadvertently create a sense of gloom, impacting the energy flow within the home and its surroundings. This disruption can mirror internal obstacles, such as confusion, fear, or a lack of direction, which are barriers to spiritual growth. Additionally, excessive shade can disrupt the natural growth of smaller plants and flowers in the vicinity, which rely on sunlight to thrive. This can lead to a diminished sense of vitality in the garden or yard, further amplifying the sense of imbalance. The environment around a home is often seen as an extension of the self, and when it appears neglected or out of harmony, it can subtly influence the emotions and thoughts of those who live there. For many people, the presence of sunlight streaming through windows or illuminating a yard is uplifting, creating a sense of warmth and openness. It fosters a connection to nature and the outside world, encouraging mindfulness and an appreciation of life's simple beauties. When this is obstructed, the feeling of confinement or isolation may arise, even if unconsciously affecting overall well-being. Maintaining a balance between shade and light is therefore crucial for creating a nurturing living environment. Removing or trimming trees that block sunlight is not just about improving physical conditions. It is also a metaphorical act of creating space for clarity and positive energy. Just as pruning a tree allows for healthier growth and better fruit, removing obstacles in the physical environment can inspire personal and spiritual growth. This act can serve as a reminder to let go of habits, thoughts, or relationships that no longer serve a constructive purpose in one's life. In Buddhist thought, letting go is often emphasized as a path to freedom and enlightenment. By addressing issues in the external environment, such as sunlight-blocking trees, one can take a small but meaningful step toward cultivating a harmonious space that reflects inner balance. It is a way of aligning one's surroundings with the values of mindfulness, simplicity, and intentionality. At the same time, the act of cutting or trimming trees should be approached with respect for nature. Trees are living beings that provide countless benefits, and their removal should not be done lightly. Instead, it is important to assess the situation carefully and make decisions that consider the overall health of the environment and the well-being of all who share it. This mindful approach aligns with Buddhist teachings on compassion and interconnectedness. Maintaining harmony between light and shadow in the home is not about achieving perfection, but about finding balance. Just as life has its moments of darkness and light, the physical environment should reflect a natural equilibrium. By ensuring that sunlight has space to enter and illuminate the home, one can foster a sense of openness and positivity that supports both physical health and spiritual well-being. Ultimately, addressing the issue of sunlight-blocking trees is a reminder of the importance of creating an environment that supports vitality, clarity, and balance. Whether viewed from a practical or spiritual perspective, making thoughtful changes to the surroundings can have a profound effect on the way life is experienced. It is an opportunity to align the outer world with the inner, creating a space that nurtures peace and growth. In certain Buddhist and traditional Asian practices, trees are often associated with spiritual energies and symbolic meanings. Some trees, such as tamarind or fig, carry dual connotations. They are revered as sacred in many cultural contexts, yet their proximity to living spaces can sometimes be seen as inauspicious. These beliefs often stem from folklore and spiritual interpretations rather than scientific reasoning, but they hold significant sway in the collective consciousness of communities influenced by Buddhist traditions. Tamarind trees, for example, are believed to possess powerful energies that can either protect or disrupt, depending on their placement. When planted near homes, they are thought to attract restless spirits or create an imbalance in the energy field. Similarly, fig trees, though often associated with enlightenment due to their connection with the Buddha's awakening under the Bodhi tree, are also seen as conduits for spiritual forces that might not align well with domestic tranquility. These beliefs highlight the nuanced relationship between humans and nature, where even something as rooted and enduring as a tree can symbolize both life and disruption. The presence of such trees near a house is sometimes said to disturb the natural harmony of the space. In traditional interpretations, this disturbance might manifest as unexplained unease, poor health, or difficulty maintaining positive relationships within the household. While these outcomes may not have direct scientific support, they reflect the deeply ingrained understanding of energy and its flow in human environments. It is a reminder of how interconnected people feel with their surroundings, particularly in spiritual practices that emphasize balance and mindfulness. Removing or relocating these trees is often seen as a practical solution to restore harmony. This action is not intended as a rejection of the tree's spiritual significance, but rather an acknowledgement of the need to create a balanced environment. In Buddhist thought, this mirrors the practice of letting go of attachments or influences that hinder spiritual growth. The removal process itself can be an act of mindfulness, undertaken with respect and gratitude for the tree's presence and purpose. This practice also speaks to the adaptability of Buddhist philosophy, which encourages individuals to consider their unique circumstances and act in ways that support their well-being and inner peace. It is not about superstition, but rather about fostering an environment conducive to meditation, mindfulness, and the cultivation of positive energy. By aligning the external environment with internal aspirations for harmony, individuals create a space where spiritual growth can flourish. In many communities, the decision to remove such a tree is accompanied by rituals or prayers to honor its life and significance. This ensures that the act of cutting is not one of destruction, but of transformation. It is a way of acknowledging the interconnectedness of all life and the cycles of growth, change, and renewal. The tree, in this sense, becomes a teacher, offering lessons on impermanence and the need for mindful action. These practices also underline the importance of intention in Buddhist thought. The act of cutting or relocating a tree is not a thoughtless action, but one imbued with purpose and awareness. It is a reminder that every decision, even one as seemingly mundane as managing a tree, has the potential to reflect larger spiritual truths. This mindfulness in action is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, emphasizing the need to live with intention and compassion. At a broader level, these beliefs reveal the depth of traditional ecological knowledge embedded in spiritual practices. While modern science might approach tree placement from a perspective of practicality or aesthetics, traditional beliefs incorporate a more holistic understanding of how natural elements interact with human life. These practices often serve as a bridge between the physical and spiritual, offering insights into how people can coexist harmoniously with nature. Ultimately, the removal of such trees is not an act of fear, but one of wisdom. It reflects an understanding that certain energies, while valuable in one context, may not align with another. By making mindful choices about the trees in their environment, individuals practice a form of spiritual housekeeping, ensuring that their surroundings support their journey toward wellness and enlightenment. This perspective underscores the importance of context and balance in Buddhist practice. Just as the Buddha taught the middle way, avoiding extremes in thought and action, so too does the consideration of trees near a home reflect this principle. It is about finding harmony between reverence for nature and the practicalities of daily life, always guided by the intention to foster peace and well-being. The presence of overcrowded trees in a small area can create a sense of disharmony, not only in the physical environment, but also in the symbolic realm. In many spiritual traditions, including Buddhism, balance is emphasized as a key to well-being. When trees grow too close together, they compete for essential resources like sunlight, water, and nutrients. This competition can lead to stunted growth, weak structures, and diminished vitality in all the trees involved. In the context of a home environment, this imbalance can translate to feelings of congestion or stagnation, subtly affecting the mental and emotional state of the inhabitants. The symbolism of overcrowded trees extends into the human experience. Just as trees need space to grow and thrive, individuals require mental and emotional clarity to flourish. An overcrowded mind, filled with too many competing thoughts, responsibilities, or distractions, can lead to stress and a sense of being overwhelmed. The physical environment often mirrors the inner state, and a cluttered or chaotic outdoor space can reinforce feelings of anxiety or confusion. Clearing or thinning out trees in such areas can create an opportunity for renewal and focus, allowing energy to flow more freely. In Buddhist philosophy, the concept of mindfulness teaches us to recognize and address the sources of imbalance in our lives. Overcrowded trees may serve as a reminder to examine areas where we may be taking on too much or failing to prioritize effectively. By removing excess trees, we create room for the remaining ones to grow stronger and healthier. This action can inspire a similar process within ourselves, encouraging us to let go of unnecessary commitments or distractions that drain our energy and prevent us from reaching our potential. The act of pruning or removing trees is not merely an external action, it carries a deeper significance. It is a practice of discernment, of deciding what to keep and what to release. This process can be applied to our thoughts, habits, and relationships. Overcrowding in any form can lead to suffocation, whether it is the suffocation of trees struggling for sunlight or the suffocation of a spirit burdened by unexamined attachments. The practice of creating space allows us to breathe more freely and to grow in alignment with our values and aspirations. When we thin out an overcrowded grove, we also create an opportunity for light to penetrate. Light, both literal and metaphorical, represents wisdom and clarity in many spiritual traditions. In a physical sense, sunlight nourishes the trees and promotes their growth. In a symbolic sense, it illuminates our path and helps us to see things as they truly are. By allowing light to enter, we invite understanding and perspective into our lives, enabling us to navigate challenges with greater ease and confidence. Overcrowded trees can also disrupt the natural energy flow of a space. In traditions such as Feng Shui, balance and harmony in the environment are crucial for cultivating positive energy. Trees that are too tightly packed may block the flow of qi, the life force energy, creating pockets of stagnation. This stagnation can manifest as a feeling of heaviness or unease in the space. Addressing the overcrowding can restore balance and reinvigorate the energy of the area, benefiting both the environment and those who live there. In nature, every element has its role and purpose. But when balance is disrupted, the ecosystem suffers. Overcrowded trees are a reminder of the importance of maintaining harmony, not just in our surroundings, but in our lives. It is a call to evaluate our priorities and ensure that we are not spreading ourselves too thin. Just as trees require space to grow, we need space to reflect, recharge, and pursue what truly matters to us. Without this space, we risk losing touch with our inner selves. The process of clearing overcrowded trees can be seen as an act of mindfulness, an opportunity to engage with the present moment and make conscious choices. It is not about destruction, but about creating conditions for growth and renewal. When done with intention, it becomes a practice of compassion, both for the trees and for ourselves. We honor the natural order by allowing each tree the room it needs to flourish, and we honor our own needs by creating a supportive environment for our well-being. Overcrowded trees can also affect the health of the soil and the ecosystem as a whole. When too many trees vie for limited resources, the soil can become depleted, and other plants and wildlife may struggle to survive. This imbalance can ripple outwards, affecting the broader environment. Similarly, when we allow our own lives to become overcrowded with unnecessary commitments or distractions, we may find that our energy and resources are stretched too thin, impacting our ability to support ourselves and others effectively. Creating space in an overcrowded area allows for new possibilities to emerge. It opens up opportunities for growth, diversity, and resilience. In our personal lives, letting go of what no longer serves us can make room for new experiences, relationships, and insights. This process can be challenging, as it often involves facing our fears and attachments, but it is ultimately liberating. It reminds us that growth requires change, and that change is a natural and necessary part of life. The presence of overcrowded trees may also impact the aesthetic and emotional quality of a space. A dense, cluttered grove can feel oppressive or overwhelming, while a well-spaced arrangement can evoke feelings of openness and tranquility. This principle can be applied to our inner lives as well. By creating space within ourselves through practices like meditation, self-reflection, or mindful living, we cultivate a sense of peace and clarity that radiates outward into our interactions and environment. Overcrowding can also lead to vulnerability. Trees that grow too close together may become more susceptible to diseases or pests, as their proximity facilitates the spread of problems. In our lives, a lack of boundaries or excessive commitments can make us more vulnerable to stress, burnout, or negativity. Addressing overcrowding, whether in a physical or metaphorical sense, is an act of protection and care for our well-being. The act of thinning out trees can also foster a deeper connection with nature. It invites us to engage with the natural world in a thoughtful and intentional way, recognizing the interconnectedness of all living things. By creating a harmonious environment, we align ourselves with the rhythms of nature and cultivate a sense of belonging and stewardship. Ultimately, addressing overcrowded trees is about restoring balance and harmony, both in the environment and within ourselves. It is a reminder that growth and flourishing require space, light, and nourishment. By taking the time to create this space, we honor the natural cycles of life and open ourselves to the beauty and potential that arise when we live in alignment with these principles. The removal or thinning of overcrowded trees is not merely an act of environmental management, but a profound metaphor for the process of creating balance and harmony in our lives. Just as trees require space, light and nourishment to grow and thrive, so too do we need clarity, focus and room to breathe in order to flourish. Overcrowding, whether in nature or within ourselves, can lead to stagnation, competition and depletion of resources, ultimately hindering growth and vitality. By addressing this imbalance, we invite renewal, encourage resilience, and foster an environment where all elements can coexist in harmony. Closing this reflection, we are reminded of the interconnectedness between our external surroundings and our internal states. The act of clearing space is not about destruction, but about making room for what truly matters, be it light, growth, or peace. It is a practice of mindfulness and intentional living, one that honors the cycles of nature and the needs of the soul. As we cultivate this balance, both in our physical spaces and within ourselves, we open the door to a life of greater clarity, purpose, and fulfillment.